Till that when Will Smith was 12, his grandmother found his notebook of rap lyrics with curse words and wrote a note in it telling Will that truly smart people do not have to curse when expressing themselves. As a result, he resolved not to use profanity in his music. That thinking is, emo, a childish attitude of old generations that would use slurs and coded phrases on a daily basis to say essentially the same thing. The difference of fuck that bitch and bless her heart is non-existent. One is forward and honest, the other is a public image protector. You can get your point across without swearing sometimes, but other times the only way to explain the gravity is to use such words as emphasis. Who? Ha ha. I respect women when I'm on a date. I take him to the park or maybe a museum. And I only try to kiss them if they're ready. Who? What? Oh what? I say what? Help out your mom and dad by getting a job. So you can help pay for school supplies. Who? Say ho. Wipe your shoes on the mat when you come in the house. Someone just cleaned that floor. Who? Say what? Ha ha. Except of course it's been shown the premise that smart people don't curse is completely wrong. Have to, no. But, per the Mythbusters, it does wonders for one's pain tolerance. Plus, in communicating with others it can be useful in properly expressing the emotional intensity of what you are saying, even if it does nothing for actual content. Of course, that also means swearing should be used with a touch of discretion. If you spam it, the value added decreases. Coming from a fundamentalist Christian background, the whole people who curse dumb aphorism always just seemed like a way to make religious people feel superior for behaving in a way that isn't typical to their culture. Words are just words. My friends with PhDs in engineering and literature still curse and they're plenty smart. The way people are afraid and shy away from curse words baffles me. Even the term curse words sounds like something a superstitious child would make up. They are just words like any other words. People shouldn't feel dumber for using them if they like using them, and most of them shouldn't offend people. Like, just because truly smart people don't need to cuss doesn't mean they fucking can't. Grandma, nobody does, only what they need. That would suck and maybe be impossible. Also, that sounds like no true Scotsman fallacy. You're fucking up, Grams. Keep your notes out of my fucking lyric book. Anyone who listened to Millennium as much as I did will know this from the lyrics of his song I'm Comin'. An angel, my grandma, told me before she died, smart folks don't need to put no person in their rhymes. It has been literal decades, but I still reckon I could sing along to most of that album. Some social scientists believe that using vulgar language is an evolutionary response that reduces physical aggression. So being able to effectively communicate your feelings, swear words and all, makes you less likely to assault another person, let alone do it in front of millions of people. Todd in the Shadows has a great breakdown of Will Smith's career and refusal to curse in this video, which does have a fun detour around Eminem's line "Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records." Well, I do, so fuck him and fuck you, too. Truly smart people are able to use the complete set of vocabulary they have at their disposal, including swears in the right context, to get their message across. There's a time and a place for profanity. Its use often has a lot of benefits. To say it should never be used isn't very smart. I respect the commitment to an idea, but also it's a stupid ideal. Swearing is as valid as any other part of vocabulary, it's just more emotionally charged than most and imparts a greater sense of the underlying meaning than describing something in a more timid manner. What a nice little story his manager came up with. No, he didn't use profanity in his music because this way it was easier to cater to a mainstream audience back in the 90s and hence sold better. We all know that he's no stranger to profanity and assaulting people. OFC. We don't have to curse to express ourselves, no. But profanity has a specific function of speech, and guess what else? Intelligent people often judge others for hardcore following authoritarian rules, so those people can fuck right off. When I was 12, my grandma asked where I got my gum and I told her my friend gave it to me. She then told me not to take food from people because they could be poisoning you, and that's the day I stopped listening to my grandma. And today Will Smith's music is known in the entire world thanks to his lame grandmother P. But Will Smith should keep his kid away from movies. That kid can't act if his life depended on it. A waste of screen time. I don't believe this. As a kid I had the album For Parents Just Don't Understand and the last track was nothing but profanity. That went over like a lead balloon in the very conservative Christian household I grew up in. So, you saw my blinker was never a thing? He called an old lady a bitch. Grandma. Always trying to rewrite history. I never cursed. I was never a Scientologist. My wife's not in love with the ghost of Tupac. He stayed mostly true to that with his music, but Grandma certainly would not approve of the dumbest song he ever made. Just 100 off-brand for him in so many ways. Yeah, and well, truly smart people also don't have an interview in front of millions of PPL on the internet with their wife about how she cheated on him and he just sits there and takes it. Skull. Too bad she was wrong and he carried that with him his whole life. What a crock of shit. Truly smart people know that confining their use of language when expressing themselves to appease the sensibilities of others is a stupid thing to do. Somebody tell Granny that swearing is a sign of intelligence, science, bitch. And then he ruined it all by slapping his pal live on air at the biggest showbiz event of the year using strong profanities while doing it. Great job, Big Willie. Grandma apparently never knew any mathematicians. High-level stuff getting done without swearing is like high-level stuff getting done without caffeine. Impossible. Will Smith is big on taking one thing someone says and robotically following it while convincing himself it originates from some deep wellspring of righteousness. I listened to Jim Jeffries once and he said the TV critics told him that his cursing is not good and he should be more like Bill Cosby because Bill never curses. His raps are also fucking terrible. He may be too good for salty language, but even the worst member of the Wu-Tang Clan spits better rhymes than this asshole. Sometimes, cursing lets you blow enough steam not to punch somebody. I hate when old people treat cuss words as if it was the devil himself. Fuck that. Just watched a clip from Chi where they said quite the opposite. More intelligent people tend to curse more as they have a wider vocabulary to draw from. This makes perfect sense because while I don't for a second accept that Will Smith is any smarter than average, he clearly believes himself to be. Too bad she never told him not to hit people, or not to swear when asking him not to speak about his wife. His grandmother deserves better. I'm pretty sure it was later than when he was 12. The first versions of his earlier music has way more edgy lyrics, and it got clean then. Finish the story. She then cited each instance of swearing and gave it back to him. He's been telling the same story for nearly 30 years. So Granny encouraged him to bottle up those negative feelings and now he's famous for expressing himself in a irresponsible manner. Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do, so fuck him and fuck you too. Eminem. Counterpoint: I could call someone a damned scoundrel and a churlish rapscallion, but I feel fuck you cunt gets the point across way better. Have to? No. But it doesn't make you less smart to curse either. Studies have shown that people with higher IQs swear more on average. Eric B. and Rakim's Paid in Full doesn't have curse words. But there are a lot of things being said. Nobody cares as long as it's hot. Maybe if Will Smith cursed more often, he would have the emotional fortitude not to assault other adults when his feelings are hurt. You can tell Will has a very wholesome side to him. Kinda sad that made him perfect prey for a narcissist to take advantage of him. Were rappers doing all that much cursing in their lyrics in 1980-1981 though? How many mfers was Curtis Blow using at that time? Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his rap to sell records. Well, fuck him, and fuck you too. Kinda puts Eminem into perspective. Truly smart people do not have to use cuss words. They beat up on people smaller than them at awards shows in front of everyone. Not entirely true. The song You Saw My Blinker, he says bitch quite a few times. It is a really weird song for Will Smith. I cheaty an incredible amount of commenters dropping the obligatory Eminem verse, and engaging in irony and humor. I'm amused. Profanity is the effort of a feeble brain to express itself forcibly. Spencer W. Kimball, whoever the fuck he is, lol. I got in one little motherfucking fight and my mom got shit scared. She said get your motherfucking ass to Bel Air. Then explained to me why I couldn't buy the album Home Base when I was 12 because of the song You Saw My Blinker, which is stupid if you ask me. Swear words are just other sounds that can be used to express a feeling. Use them. She also said Willie my boy, no matter what people say. Be the narcissistic douchebag you feel in your heart. Hard. Knowing 12 yos. That's big. Edit if it's just in his music, not everyday vernacular, that makes more sense lol. Of course, there's always a Family Guy clip that points this out. Surely it has nothing to do with the fact he could market himself as a clean rapper to get better airplay. Nothing wrong with a bit of harmless cursing. Holding in your negative feelings will come back to slap you. Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do. So fuck him and fuck you too, Eminem. So instead he decided to curse in movies and be married to someone who gets railed by his son's friend S. Should've left a note on it about self-respect and not letting your wife cheat you with your son's friend. His grandma's a bozo. You're telling me George Carlin isn't intelligent because he curses when he speaks? A truly intelligent being once called them sentence enhancers. I think I'll go with him on this one. Thank God for Grandma. Because I don't think the fucking cunt of Bel-Air would be allowed on TV. Then watch those Disney Nat Geo Welcome to Earth shows where he curses way more than you'd expect. I respect women when I'm on a date. I'll take him to the park or maybe the museum. Who knew what? Will Smith don't have to cuss in his raps to sell records, well I do, so fuck him and fuck you too. Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records. Well, I do, so fuck him, and fuck you too. Probably should've wrote a note about picking better women or knowing when to leave the situation. Will Smith don't gotta cuss in his raps to sell records. Well I do, so fuck him and fuck you too. I don't need to know a single new fact about Will Smith, or anyone in his family. Thanks, though. That's actually bullshit though. Little old church ladies don't get to define what smart is. He's still a bitch though. His grandma should taught him manners and not slap people on live TV. Fuck that old bag. It is commonly known that smart people curse more than not so smart people. Next Reddit post: if you could place one F-bomb into one Will Smith song, where would you put it? Who cares if you use profanity? I'd rather fuck this instead of this event is unpleasant. I mean way smarter and better vapors that Will Smith used profanity in their lyrics. Grandma. Is another Will Smith movie coming out? Why are they trying to give a good press again? It's funny how the opposite is actually factual. People who curse more have a higher IQ. Will Smith did curse in his music, he just didn't curse a lot. This article is bullshit. In my experience, truly smart people are precocious and curse a lot more than average. Was that thing that said smart people swear a lot just a bunch of BS? I was never sure. Will Smith don't have to cuss to sell records. Well I do, so fuck him and fuck you too.